It's another day out here at the Oasis, and it's quite a blustery winter we've had so far. Second little storm we've gotten here, and just wanted to talk about the solar panels today. So, what is going on is we've got 19 100-watt panels, and you can see the rack that I had set up there. Built that last year, and then waiting for this summer to build the second rack for these panels here. Otherwise, that's kind of what's going on, is they're set up on pallets, so they're at least a little bit raised off the ground, unlike the house where they're a little more touching to the ground, hence why more snow builds up on the house. And these panels don't have hardly any snow built up around them, and that's kind of the nice thing, just having to just sweep those off, and makes it a whole lot easier than the house currently. So, but yeah, we've got these are 100-watt panels from Renogy, and this is what's powering the house right now, as well as the addition. Well, the house has its own separate battery setup and solar setup, but that is a big mess of wires that I definitely need to clean up. But the addition is definitely a bit nicer with what it has. And so what we've got for, all these panels here, we actually invested in a combiner box. We invested in 2 combiner boxes, and these things are awesome because now we have all of the panels hooked up onto one, central little system there, and it's nice to be able to flip those on and off if we need to work on the solar. So that was a big upgrade that we don't really have on the house, but the addition has the additional things to it that make it a bit nicer and a bit easier to set up. So we've got this combiner box that has 6 plugins, which we actually is overkill because we only have 11 panels hooked up here. And so when we're combining those into 4, we're only needing essentially 3 plugins, and that's kind of what we've got there, is there's just 3 plugins. So going over to the second combiner box, this one's put a bit closer to the house, and this one is a bit smaller. This is the 4 plug-in, and like I said before, we only need 3 to hook up the amount of panels that we can use for our system, which I forgot to mention is a 12-volt system. So this is all a 12-volt system, hence why there's so many wires, and that's the big downfall with wiring for everybody. So going from our combiner boxes, we're going inside. This is our battery bank setup for right now. Not the most professional, but everything was helped by a professional electrician. Mr. Kyle, thank you for that. So what we've got is 4 200 amp hour batteries that all are hooked up to the inverter, and what I'm showing there is our breaker box. So we have a bit more of a setup going on, a little more professional. The breaker box is just another step in security that was nicely installed. And then we've got our 2 80 amp inverter charge controllers there, and yeah, those are 80 amps a piece. So when we're running 12 volt, we can only hook up about 11 panels each. So right now with the 2, we can have a maximum array of 2200 watts, which, like I said, outside, we only have 19. So we still have, 3 more that we can add to it. So we've got, all the batteries and everything that is hooked up to this ginormous Renogy 3000 watt inverter. So, and that is what's connected to the breaker box and connects all the electrical boxes and everything. So this thing is huge. We used to have plugins. Well, on the house we have plug-in the inverter that has the plug-in. So we plug in our what are those called? They're the power strips. So that's kind of the downfall there. But here we've got everything hooked to the breaker box, and now we actually have actual plugins, just like a regular house. So, and we've got the GFCI, I think, plug-in there. So everything that is connected past that That's kind of the first line of security. If things surge inside, that thing will break and shut power off. And then we also have the breaker box that will do the same thing as well. That's just another step of the security, as well as with the combiner boxes. So essentially what all of this stuff does is it just creates little breakpoints for the electricity, in case there's surging or anything like that. So that's it's a big step up from what we've had. Everything's grounded outside with grounding rods, and yeah, not everything's professionally kind of organized in here, but that's kind of my plan, is to build a box that's insulated around all of the electronics here to kind of give it its own little cupboard. And just to protect everything more, I need to insulate the other side of the wall, and that kind of is coming with when we're doing the shed, the side shed out front, off to the side there. So yeah, like I said, we've got 4 200 amp hour batteries, all connected in, what is that, parallel? So all the positives are connected, all the negatives are connected. And so in total, yeah, with 4 of those at 200 amp hours, I think we've got almost 9,600 watt hours that we can use when those are fully charged. And, I think that's kind of the thing with here in wintertime. We run into a lot more cloud days out here. And that's a big, thing for us, is probably we need more panels, in order for the batteries to be consistently charged, because it's been nice so far where we're getting a good amount of sun that we have been able to keep power going. We've been able to keep the grow lights going and plants going throughout the winter, at least so far, until we run into, these multiple days of cloud where it's super heavy, dense cloud, not much sun's coming in. So you can see, it's pretty cloudy out. The snow's coming. It's only 50 in the addition, which really isn't too bad, because it dipped down into the negatives overnight. And, this thing is just proving how insulated it is, and, how much better it probably should be by next year, as it absorbs more mass. So that's a big thing with why I do want to do the battery box there, or kind of the cabinets to surround everything, because I know that's definitely not good that any of those electronics are getting, super cold, or, they definitely need to keep the temperature at least somewhat higher, for them to function properly. So that'll be one big thing this year, is building that out to accommodate all the electronics, as well as kind of just getting everything organized. So, that's kind of what we're doing for right now with the solar. It's that's kind of what we've just got for the setup until, we get more funds and we get, a bit, obviously money gets things done a little bit, especially when it comes to things that you need that you can't produce on the farm. So that's just one aspect of living off grid, is that you are still somewhat dependent on, outside on grid sources to even get started. So, it's kind of a downfall to things, but at the same time, once you do get things set up, then, it's all charging. You're getting that juice and electricity. And as long as you're buying good products, those charge controllers had really good reviews, and they've stood up, to what we've got going on here in the greenhouse, at least for now. And I'm sure they'll do even better once everything gets way more, the little cabinet gets set up. So we, are thinking of maybe adding more solar panels. I think I'd said that before, but we definitely, I think, need to add more solar panels. And that might be the case. We might add another charge controller, and, maybe a couple more batteries. But I think for sure with these cloudy days and what's going on, with how many cloud days we do get, and kind of how much of a hindrance that is actually to solar, and when you're even using, not even as much juice as any household uses, it's still, still kind of is that downfall that we do need more we start figuring out how much more we do need, especially for where we're living in Montana. So, thanks everybody for sticking around and watching our little blog update. So, we've got some things to do to prepare for the storm. I'm wiping off solar panels and all that stuff, but wanted to go over just our battery setup. So, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching, everyone.